Why was George Washington not a member of a political party? In the long history of the American Republic, there have been 45 presidents of the United States, and only one, the first president, George Washington, did not represent a political party. Put another way, every president since 1796 has. But Washington believed, as did many of his contemporaries in the American founding era, that political parties were an evil to be avoided, or failing that, to be contained and overcome. There are a few important reasons for that. In fact, the Constitution that Washington helped to draft in Philadelphia in 1787, the Constitution our government still operates under today, makes absolutely no mention of political parties. And it clearly did not anticipate them. For example, as originally ratified, the U.S. Constitution declared that the second place vote getter in the presidential election would serve as Vice President of the United States. Hillary Clinton would serve as Vice President under Donald Trump. Mitt Romney would have served under Barack Obama. Only in 1804, with the ratification of the 12th Amendment, was this procedure changed, and members of the Electoral College began to submit separate ballots for president and vice president. Also, political parties as we know them only began to take shape while Washington was in office. His unanimous election as president in 1788 had only served to convince him and others that just maybe this American Republic may never see political parties develop. But frustratingly, by 1793 or 1794, there was an emerging split between two distinct visions for the future of the country. In particular, groups calling themselves Democratic Republican societies began to appear in cities around the nation. And this was new. They would form the nucleus of a formal, concerted opposition party, something that frightened many people, including Washington. Why did it happen when it did? It's hard to imagine that the split would have appeared around 1794 without the pressures of international war. Only after Great Britain and revolutionary France went to war in 1793 did the Democratic Republican Party really begin to form itself as a true opposition party in American politics, against what would become known as the Federalist Party. Some ongoing debates over domestic issues like the creation of a national bank and other economic issues became intertwined with these more divisive foreign policy questions, such as whether the United States should actually enter the war on the side of the French Republic. Thomas Jefferson himself said in 1793 that the war, quote, kindled and brought forward the two parties with an ardor which our own interests merely could never excite. But Washington remained above the fray through the end of his second and final term as president. He wanted to be a president of all the American people. And the most important reason was this: he believed unity, not division, was necessary for a democratic republic to survive. And Washington truly believed that political parties like these would only serve to divide and ultimately destroy the young United States. His words in what's become known as the Farewell Address, his advice to the nation as he prepared to leave the presidency in 1796, are clear on this point. What he called, quote, the spirit of party serves, quote, always to distract the public councils and enfeeble the public administration. It agitates the community with ill-founded jealousies and false alarms, kindles the animosity of one part against another, foments occasionally riot and insurrection. Washington was even sure that the spirit of party, quote, opens the door to foreign influence and corruption, which finds a facilitated access to the government itself through the channels of party passions. Throughout his political life, all the way to his death in 1799, George Washington was confident that the Republic could and should function without the existence of political parties.